past month has been very hard on many of our pool screen enclosures. Screens may need replacing or maybe even the entire structure. So it's a good time to take a look at the different options available to us here on the Suncoast. CEO Dale Desjardins Jr. and President Adam Rankin from Absolute Aluminum are here to give us some help. Great to see both of you.
Thanks for having us.
So the amount of lost screens, or even maybe the whole enclosure across the Suncoast is pretty extensive, right? I feel like people really need some guidance on what to do from here. So where should people go first? What's the first move?
I think the first move is making sure and hire a licensed contractor. There's so much work now because of this storm that attracts a lot of people in, and you need to be wary of who you're contracting with.
All right, very good point. How do we know what a good contractor is, Adam?
You want to ask them for their contractor's license, a copy of that. You want to ask them for their work comp insurance, their liability insurance coverage, and they should have it with them. If they don't, you need to move on, because even hiring somebody off the street to demo a cage that might be in your pool right now, if they get hurt on your job and they don't have workers' compensation coverage, they can sue the homeowner, and most people don't know that.
Yeah, that's a lot of scary things.
Yeah.
So all pool cages are not created equal, all screens are not created equal. I feel like we know that based on your neighbors fell down and yours didn't kind of thing.
Right.
So if we are someone, and I am one of them, who needs to replace screens, who needs to replace a pool enclosure, how do we know that we're purchasing quality from here on out?
There are multiple types of screen that you can put into enclosures, fiberglass, polyester, but the biggest thing that homeowners should do is look at when their cage was built. There is a lot of contractors running around out there painting and rescreening cages and fixing them after the storm. I think they're showing one on the screen right now that was just fixed over the last storm, but it wasn't done by a licensed contractor, and it's now all the work that was done is for naught because it blew down completely this time, right?
Is there a year or a quality of material where we know it just can't be fixed and we need to replace?
You know, there's the building codes changed. There's been 17 revisions since 2001. You know, storm after storm after storm. So the wind code changes, the design pressures change, and all those things. You know, the last one was 2020. There's been 2 revisions since then, but the main code change was in 2020. So if your cage was built in 2010, odds are it was built to a lesser wind code. But anytime you hire a contractor, they need to know what they're doing, because even if you go to a no-seam screen on your cage and it wasn't designed for that, it's going to reduce its ability to withstand those winds by 12% or more, which can be a lot, which is why a lot of these cages failed this time.
So when we talk to Absolute Aluminum, what are our different options? What can you do to help us get back up and stay hurricane hardy?
For us, we tested our cages in a wind tunnel in South Carolina. One of 2 companies that we know of that has done that. Everything else is analytically calculated by engineers. So we visually saw what our cage can do in a 120 mile an hour sustained wind and 140 mile an hour gust at 3 seconds. And that's how we've evolved our cage to be stronger, thicker material. We don't span 60 feet without a post like a lot of these places do, because it just doesn't work.
And these are things that as homeowners, I don't know what the span should be. I don't know what the post should be. How do you direct people to make sure they get what they want, Dale?
Every structure that we build has to be engineered site-specifically for the home. So anything that you're going to do now is going to meet the current wind load. One thing that we try to do is overbuild for that load. And we have been selling to 160 for a long time, but consumers don't know that you can do that. You can ask for them to give us a stronger cage. Most people come from up north. They've never had cages.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, and they just don't know. I mean, that cage that they were showing on screen was 1991, and they went and put all that investment into it and had the owner known it was 1991, they probably wouldn't have made that. So that's really key, is when was it built, and then you can go back and see what wind load it was built to. Because when I started 36 years ago, we were building to 90-mile-an-hour winds.
That's just a bad afternoon storm here.
Right.
These coastal areas, especially
Right.
depending on the exposure, can get up to 150,
160,
around
170.
around here. So that's really key. You need to look at when it was built, the load that it's built to, and then make your decision on who you want to use and what you want to do.
And obviously you want to work with somebody that has experience in our market and experience with our very much changing winds. So thank you both for giving us an important update on something we're all dealing with right now. For more information about your pool, cage, and screen enclosures or any other outdoor enclosure questions, you can find these guys at absolutealuminum.com.